to the Family Based Podcast. My name is Jake.
And I'm Dallas.
And this is a bonus episode. We'll do an extra inning. So we're going to go right into what's happening right now for the latest news when it comes to the Cubs. Because again, we are Cubs fans, as you can tell from Dallas' hat. Right there. That is a nice hat. Now all of us have one.
Now all of us finally. Last horse crosses the finish line.
Yeah. So the article came out this week. We'll get right into it. So an article came out this week that talked about Aaron Judge's future. Now, Aaron Judge, the right fielder for the Yankees, is having a personal best and maybe going to be in a historic year for hitter and player overall. Right now, he's hitting 300, leads the league in home runs. He has 26 as of tonight. He may hit one tonight for all we know. He's very good defensively, but before this year, the reported offer from the Yankees was 8 years, $230 million. Now that comes right under $30 million a year. It's like $28.75 a year, and he turned it down. Well, I mean, after this year, he's going to be asking for a lot more.
Yes, he will be, but he's also 30 years old now.
Yeah, so he will be hitting 31 next year. So he's in his 30th birthday year, which is kind of like this for the next 2 or 3 years is usually the peak for players, unless you Barry Bonds, and that's a different story.
I'll be Barry Bonds in a couple years. I want you guys to know that. Put it on the record. Give me 5 years.
Yeah, sure. I'll do it.
See me on TV.
I'll
going to
put
the batting cage tomorrow. Ben's giving up. He's going golfing. I'm going to the batting cages. And taking steroids.
And I am just sitting here. So
you coming with? Oh, it's all right. I'll take you on the ride, man. We're gonna ride this train together.
Yeah.
Anyways,
right.
Yeah. So he is 30.
So he is 30. The report, the article that came out, the highlight quote that came out of that article is this. He says, he talking about Aaron Judge. He wants to win. He's not going to sign with a loser like the Cubs are right now. I don't see him signing up for the rebuild. Now, Ben and I, in our episode this week, talked about, is the rebuild going to attract free agents or top-line players to want to come either at their peak or at the end of their career? Either way, is this rebuild going to really draw anyone in, or is this going to be 5-7 years down the road like they did last time for one championship year? Now, that quote, I will say, from came out from, not from Aaron Judge, but someone close to him, and that came up with just really what our main topic is going to be for right now. Is going to be the Chicago Cubs' future philosophy. Now, that future philosophy before the year was, we can win right now. We're not too far off. And we have seen that is not true. So their narrative shifted, and now it's going to be the long term. So, Dallas, what do you think? Are you, right now as a Cubs fan, are you looking for the immediate, the next 2 or 3 years, or are you looking for the long-term future?
No, they make the moves. Like, I can appreciate what they're doing, but it's kind of like we were talking about earlier. It's what they're doing, model that they're basing off of is like a model that like Oakland could adopt, or Cincinnati, like the organizations, the clubs with a smaller budget. You don't need to hope for great players to come from your minor league system. I mean, I understand that's what led us kind of to our series in 2016. But you have the bankroll. You bring some players in. Like Contreras is going to be up for free agency still. What you sent me that I read, people are like, there's talks of him getting traded this year from the Cubs. I hope that doesn't happen. It's one of the few catchers that are performing in a catcherless system right now. So like the Cubs need to, what they can do is have some great young talent, but you also need to bring in some veteran all-stars that can teach some things and can bring some life into the ball club and into the dugout. Signing someone like Judge would be obviously fantastic, bring people to Wrigley, and also bring some really good experience to the outfield and to the plate and to the dugout.
Yeah, adding Aaron Judge would make every team better. We're not doubting that.
Well, let's also say this, like, the definition of a loser is really like how much they're going to pay you. Like if the Cubs, if the Ricketts family is like signs off on them paying them $35 million a year, you think Judge is gonna be like, nah, too big of losers. $40 million a year, too big of losers. Like, no, everybody has a price, and like if the dude's gonna lead the Yankees over getting paid $28 million a year, I guarantee he would sign with the Cubs if it was the right price. Like, there's no way. Like, he's 30, he's hitting the twilight years of his career. Maybe he's not a pitcher, so we don't expect to see him in the outfield. I mean, luckily both leagues have the DH now, so maybe he could post up at a DH position and ride it into his late 30s. But realistically, the man's looking at a good 5-6 years right now. It's about the money. Whoever's going to pay him, that's where he's going to go. Just like Pujols did.
Yeah, I gotta believe the money. Money talks a lot in those circumstances. And that in that one article I sent you, it talked about the examples of not a traditional winner bringing in big guys for a lot of money was the Rangers this past year. They signed Seager, they signed Simeon, they signed Calhoun, and they just let Calhoun go. So they also signed John Gray. Their team's actually doing pretty well considering. So they have that option of having a team that is not winning the year before, and then they bring in a couple huge names for a lot of money, and that kind of starts them going.
Right.
Now, do I think that'll happen? No, because Tom Ricketts won't pay for it, and honestly, I'm getting to the point where we talked about this in episode 26. Is that I'm not as focused on Tom Ricketts as I am on Jed Hoyer. Jed Hoyer really, really wants to be Theo Epstein.
It's not going to happen.
There is no other. Stop trying. He wants to rebuild. He wants to have his name on this whole rebuild. And I'm like, bro, like you have
That's just vanity, though. Like it's like going to the grocery store and being like, nah, I only want off-brand shit, when really you can afford the fancy shit. Just do it, dude. Like, just make it happen. Like, because there are millions of people, and that's not an understatement, that are looking to this team to perform. And you have, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of people coming to Wrigley every year, watching ball games, looking for some W's. Like, we're not there to watch the team get their ass kicked.
Right.
Like, I was fortunate enough this past weekend to see them win one of their games against the Braves, and I was stunned. I was honestly stunned that we won 1-0. So didn't stop me from going, but it would be a lot more appealing to go if we knew that they were going to win. Also, I don't live in town, so it's not like I have the opportunity all the time.
Right. So the future philosophy of the Cubs, as of right now, stands up. We'll look long term. And if you follow that logic, Wilson Contreras will be traded.
Yeah, in long term, They're going to look for a young catcher, probably. Or some old dude that they can find for cheap.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. Is that they signed Jan Gomes before the year to I think it was a 2-year deal, simply to back up Wilson. And now with his rebuild talk, I'm like, is that really what we brought him for, or is it on the off chance we trade him?
Right.
Is there an off chance like we trade him and we have a below average offensive guy and a pretty good defensive guy just in there for a year after? I don't like it. So if I'm gonna just put you in the GM spot first for this question, what would be your first move if your future philosophy is not a total rebuild? What is your first move as GM? Is it Contreras or is it to go after a big free agent?
Sign Contreras now, and then get a new free agent after the series. That's what I would do. Like, sign Contreras to something that he would like, make him happy. He is your veteran right now. I mean, let Hayward's contract run out. If you can find somebody to trade like that will accept him, trade him for some prospects. Maybe if you're looking for like a partial rebuild, give Hayward away for some prospects. Like, cool, or some draft picks. Especially if if the draft goes towards international, then like you're broadening all of those horizons. Like, trade Hayward for draft picks, and then re-sign Contreras. Sign anybody that you can after the series is concluded. Make some big name moves. Use that budget. Pay a luxury tax. Make something happen, because it's been 5-6 years now, and we're literally trending in the wrong direction. Nobody wants to see that. Any club, like, doesn't matter. Nobody wants to see 6 years later there's zero hope of a postseason run.
Yeah, and I would say the first move would be to sign Contreras, and that would be for the fans as well as the team. I mean, who wouldn't want to have an all-pro catcher?
Right.
Who can hit home runs?
Right. Be by the end of this year, a 3-time All-Star representative.
Yeah, I mean, so I'd start there. So, and I sent you a list of the free agents at the end of this year, the free agents that are just clear free agents, and those who have player options, team options, and in the middle of this year, actually at the beginning of the year, an anonymous GM came out and said he guarantees the Cubs will get a top shortstop. Now, I was looking at the list of free agents, and they talked about this, is that there's Troy Turner out there. Carlos. Well, that's an answer to a question.
Please do.
Troy Turner, you have Correa, who is going to most likely opt out.
Right.
And then you have Xander Bogaerts, who also is very good overall. Now, you say Troy Turner.
Yes.
I would say the only reason, maybe not the only, but a big reason, I would still say Carlos Correa.
Yeah, okay.
Well, yeah, again, if I'm just picking based on who I want and not who I think they want to pay for, if I want to go for the Cubs, they'll go for Xander Bogaerts, which, I mean, is still a great option, but they'll want to pay him less. But if I'm picking, be Carlos Correa, because of, having someone up the middle who has a relationship with Contreras, that'd be ideal. But besides that, the Cubs, if you just look, the Cubs have had a horrendous track record with injuries on their starting rotation and in their bullpen. This year has been horrible. You could say that. Do you think they should focus on something? Would you, if you had the future plans in your hands, would you focus on the starting pitchers, relief pitchers, or would you want to go for some offense? What of those three would you focus on?
Pitching right now. Was it
Which
Musgrove?
one?
Is that the guy?
Yeah.
San Diego? Sounds good. Yeah, like sign him, literally sign all of them. Who cares? Like I'm saying, like I feel like the Cubs have a blank check that can be cashed anywhere. Like you write in any number that you want, and it will be like in your bank account the next day. So as for them not spending it, I get it. Like yeah, like nobody's trying to like lose money, but also what they've built Wrigley Field to be, they're making an insane amount of profit. It has to be record numbers for Wrigley Field and the area. They're going to get it back. You bring people to the stadium, you're going to get it back. Spend the money to make the money. Like just don't be cheap about it. The Cubs have it. Use it. It's frustrating to talk about because they're not operating like a fan would. So it's frustrating, as it is for anybody, I guess, in any position, watching the team that they love just not do anything with it.
Let me offer a middle ground, if I can dream of something like that.
Let's do it.
So if you think about the Cubs of 2016, the Cubs, the starters, the ones they drafted were Chris Bryant, Javi Baez, Schwarber, and I think that's about it. I mean, Kyle Hendricks as well, but outside of that, they signed Lester Lackey. They traded for Rizzo. They signed Dexter Fowler for that year. They signed Jason Hayward. It was like you can choose like 4 or 5 young players. Stick with them, but sign some guys.
Right. They traded away their core.
They signed, but the thing is, they signed pitchers and they drafted their infield, and that's pretty much about it. And that was good enough. Like if you have 4 or 5 young guys who you pay nothing, and then you put all your money into a veteran pitcher, you put money into your bullpen, which they did. They found a lot of veterans to fill in that bullpen and other starters. The middle ground is pick 4 or 5 guys and get rid of the rest. That's a very simple idea.
Very simple, but it works, right?
Well, it worked at one time, but the issue is the Cubs have money like the Yankees, but they act like they're the A's.
Right. Like Oakland. Of almost all the teams in the MLB, Oakland is like the team where you're like, yeah, the city might not miss them. They probably don't even know that they're playing ever. So,
yeah.
But then you have the Cubs, like struggling for 4th place, and you have people in the stadium, you have people in the seats, like you have people in the neighborhood, like you're not missing a fan base. You're not void of that. Just it's almost just disrespectful to the fan base, honestly.
This I'm gonna offer names because we can't just deal in the abstract. We have to actually pitch some real names out there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, obviously, I've been saying it for weeks now on the podcast. I feel like I'm gonna say it until they do or don't. Sign Contreras to whatever he wants.
Right.
Just sign him. I mean, he won't sign during the year this year. Don't trade him. I don't care what prospects anyone offers you. They're prospects. They need not work out. Contreras is working out.
He is performing.
Keep him. Yeah. Sign him to a blank check. that'd be my option. But outside of that, I would say this: the one guy that pops to my mind is because I'm a Red Sox fan, a Chicago Red Sox fan. Mal Pugh is engaged to an Atlanta Braves shortstop. Now he may not be the flashy name that gets out there, but this year he's playing like really well. He won a World Series last year. He's a great defender. He's getting better and better every year to play. Dansby Swanson. If you sign, I know that's not a big signing, so
That's
you
okay.
won't spend all that much money. So if you want to save some money, but you want to get a great leader, get Dansby. He also went to Vanderbilt.
That's what's up. Get him.
Yeah, so I would say him. If you really want to go down the list,
Damn.
I would offer one other option.
Who's that? That shortstop?
And no, I wouldn't, because again, if I'm going down Dansby, down in the future, um, I personally like Nico Horner. I
Yeah.
think he is a good shortstop.
Would you
I
move him
think
to second?
I'd move him to second, but if they don't like it because he doesn't have,
Could have
I
Morel
feel like
in center.
I would keep him in center.
Yeah. And then move
That'd be,
Nico over to second.
yeah. I love the stories of Wisdom and Schwindel, but at this point, I'm like, I if again, this is my future philosophy. This is not the Cubs. I want to like put out a winner
I want to win
in the next
next
two
year.
or 3 years.
Yeah.
In 2 or 3 years, that's not hard. If you spend money, you can win in 2 or 3 years,
Right.
like or at least get to playoffs.
For sure. Yeah.
So
Go for a walk.
my other option is this: is that so they want Dansby Swanson. If you don't want to go for if you want to let go of Wisdom and Swindell, which I would say you go after. I know this may not be a huge hit amongst Cubs fans, but Justin Turner from the Dodgers, he's looked over a lot in that lineup.
Why? he's solid.
Because the whole team's all stars.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess that's true. It's hard to stand out the Yankees or the Dodgers right now.
And I mean, if you want to look at first baseman, there's tons of first basemen that are going to be free agents. Josh Bell is a free agent at the end of the year. If you don't know Josh Bell, he's having a great year. He had a couple down years after he left Pittsburgh, but I'd say sign some guys at the corner of your infield. And Dansby Swanson, get two of those three. And
Arenado, would
you
you
have
try to get Arenado at third?
Arenado, I just have the feeling like he loves St. Louis,
He's not going to go
and
anywhere. Just like
I don't think he'll
Yachty.
leave. Yeah,
Throw
I
money.
think Nolan will be him and Goldschmidt are going to be the first and third baseman of that team for the rest of their career, unless they pull a Cub and like lowball them. But yeah, so my realistic option, if you want to go for position players, go for that. If you don't, I say go for a big starting pitcher. Go for you mentioned Joe Musgrove. He's never been an ace, but
He'd bring value.
he's also been in the NL West. I just don't believe Joe Musgrove will leave because he's from San Diego.
Hometown.
So
Yeah.
I think, but if you want to go for the infield, if
What
you want
about
to
one of
spend
the
some money,
What about one of the older pitchers that are about to hit free agency, like Verlander or Kershaw? Would you entertain Kershaw?
of course I'd entertain it, but he's gonna retire.
I was gonna say, I would be surprised if he actually makes it to free agency. I think he'll retire by the end of the year.
Oh, I mean, whenever the Dodgers played their last game, I'd say
Do you think he'll announce it then?
He'll announce it like the next day or something, or he'll announce it like in November or something. Do it kind of quietly.
He's had some health issues this year, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean all of the Dodgers have, but yes.
Would you, being 38 or 39, Justin Verlander, do you think he'll consider retiring, or do you think he'll hit free agency?
Well, he's having a career year. He's on the Astros, who are going to be in the playoffs, going to be pushing for the World Series like every year.
Right.
So he signed a 50-year,
Jesus.
Yeah, that'd be a contract.
Something.
So before the year, he signed a 2-year, $50 million deal, and it was for 1 year with a 1-year option. I think he's going to take that last year in Houston, make that extra $25 million, and then he'll be fine. Because the Astros can win the World Series. So I think he just wants to stay in the same place and win. If he didn't, he would have taken 1 year. But he took 2.
With the option.
With the option of if he wants to play.
Maybe.
So I don't feel like
25.
No. The Cubs would need to pay Verlander like $35 to get out.
I wouldn't be mad about it.
No, but for 1 year, I'm all right.
Bring him.
I mean, again, at this point, I don't really care.
Do it. I don't care how long they're on. Let's give him a 2-year contract. We're getting to the series in 2 years then. All right.
But on this list I sent you from the free agents for this upcoming off season, the relief pitchers is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
and that Cubs desperately need some.
The Cubs need starters and relievers for sure. They do. So if we're starting with something, what I've seen from the Cubs bullpens, like in the last month, I'm like, bro, you need 3 or 4 of those guys. They won't. But you pick 2 and get them. Sure up that bullpen that's been shaky. 100%. But again, the Cubs won't do it. Jed Hoyer's future plan, his philosophy is for 5 or 6, 7 years, they'll win 1, and that's it. Ben mentioned this real quick. He said, because we're fans, we're like, we would spend whatever we'd have to.
Right.
And to be honest, they're acting with the mixed interest of business and fandom, most business. And as a fan, I'm like, yeah, go sign everyone. But
of course.
Yeah.
Also not our dollars.
I mean, in a way it is.
It kind of is. We're paying for hats. We're paying for seats. So kind of is our dollars, isn't it? So ipso facto, we're their boss.
I mean, a little bit.
A
little bit.
Right,
I am, but again, I've said this on every episode, but I will just say this again, even on the bonus episode. Sign Contreras right now.
Yeah, do it.
He may not want to sign right now because he knows he'll get more later. Right. Whenever he wants to and you want to, give him the checkbook, give him whatever the contract, and let him fill in what he wants and keep him.
Yep.
He will not want too much.
Not as much as these other players we're talking about.
I mean, give the Mets 5 seconds, or give the Yankees 5 seconds. They will sign him for $30-35 mil a year, and they will dominate the Cubs offer. So
sign him before he gets the chance, man. Yeah.
Well, they had the chance before the year, and they kind of messed up. So I know you got date night, so I'm gonna get you out of here. All right, so
All right, brother. Thanks for having me.
so this has just been a bonus episode where honestly we just ranted about what we want. That's all.
It's good bonus Thursday.
All right. So we'll have this episode coming to you soon, coming tomorrow. So Friday, we'll have this coming out. So we'll see you guys on Wednesday, the 30th. What date is it? I don't even know. It does.
29. Yeah.
The Wednesday, next Wednesday,
20.
we'll see you guys again.
We'll see you then.
All right. Bye.
Bye.